This is an amazing story. I can't believe this is real. It's real. This is the Republican Attorney General of Texas. His name is Ken Paxton, although he is not currently serving as Attorney General because he has been suspended from office by the Texas legislature pending an impeachment trial. Now, how bad do things have to be for the Republicans in the Texas legislature to impeach their own Republican Attorney General? Well, where do we start?
Rachel Maddow cannot believe what is going on in Texas right now, which is funny because when I first heard this story, I kind of just shrugged and said, yeah.
Almost the entire time he's been Attorney General, he's been under indictment for felony securities fraud. Meanwhile, he's facing potential disbarment from the practice of law entirely over his efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Also, he's under criminal investigation by the U.S. Justice Department on serious corruption allegations. Allegations so serious that 8 high-ranking officials in his own office went to the FBI to report what they had witnessed in his office.
Nobody believes me when I say that Texas Republicans are very difficult to get rid of, whether that's by voting them out of office or by some other means, but this story really drives that point home. Ken Paxton is the Texas Attorney General. He is the highest law enforcement officer in the state, and he is the most legally embattled Attorney General in the country. So a quick recap. He's an election denier who more or less confessed to taking active steps to ensure that Texas went red in 2020.
Harris County mail-in ballots that they wanted to send out were 2.5 million. Those were all illegal, and we were able to stop every one of them. Had we not done that, we would have been in the very same situation. We would have been on election night. I was watching election night, and I knew when I saw what was happening in these other states that would have been Texas. We would have been in the same boat. We would have been one of those battleground states that they were counting votes in Harris County for 3 days, and Donald Trump would have lost the election.
He's facing disbarment over attempts to help overturn the 2020 election results. He sued the Obama administration over the Affordable Care Act. He gave a speech at the Capitol on January 6th. He was investigated by the DOJ over accusations of bribery, corruption, and abuse of office. His own employees actually reported him to the FBI. He's been under indictment for felony securities fraud for years, but somehow has never stood trial for it. And he tried to use taxpayer dollars to pay off his legal settlement fees. And I don't know, I'm sure there's more.
It has been a lot with this guy.
The last time we spoke about Ken Paxton was in May of this year, when a dumpster was literally on fire outside of his office. Just days later, Paxton was impeached by the Texas House and he was suspended from office. By the way, the Texas House is run by Republicans, not Democrats. Now, Paxton has a trial in the Texas Senate this coming September, which will determine whether or not he will be officially removed from office. Now, presiding over that trial is Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick is no cupcake himself. You may remember him from his media blitz during the pandemic when he insinuated that Texans would be willing to sacrifice their elderly for the sake of the economy.
I just think there are lots of grandparents out there in this country, like me, I have 6 grandchildren, that what we all care about and what we love more than anything are those children. And I want to live smart and see through this, but I don't want the whole country to be sacrificed.
Patrick presiding over this trial isn't terribly comforting, but it seems that Paxton is a little worried that he won't have Patrick's full support.
Here's the thing I can't believe is real, but it is. So Dan Patrick, the guy who's the presiding judge in this impeachment trial, just had to release his new campaign finance report. And would you look at that? He just received $3 million from the Ken Paxton Super PAC. Wow, what a coincidence. Dan Patrick isn't even up for re-election until 2026. All he has coming up is this impeachment trial that he has to run in a few weeks.
Now, Paxton has some serious big money donors behind him. There's a very not subtle push in Texas to push the state from right to far right, and it takes a lot of money to do that. Luckily or unluckily, we've got a lot of oil tycoons around here, and they've got a lot of money. Following Paxton's impeachment in the House, the leader of the Defend Texas Liberty PAC, Jonathan Stickland, said on Twitter, quote, "Wait till you see my PAC budget." Now, Stickland doesn't currently hold office, but he is a former state representative. Still, for a guy without a government position, he seems pretty keen on wielding his influence in the public sector. And by influence, I of course mean money. But the far-right moneyed interests haven't exactly been hitting them out of the park lately. They recently lost a lot of money on costly primary races, many of which were unsuccessful, and Defend Texas Liberty was subsidizing a former representative's political life until he was removed from office for getting a 19-year-old aide drunk and having sex with her. Poli-sci professor Brandon Rottinghouse from the University of Houston told the Texas Tribune, quote, "The Paxton impeachment could be the most high-profile stumble for the far right of the Texas GOP." I went to U of H. Now, that sounds good and comforting, but they may have experienced a few setbacks lately, but this ultra-conservative effort has been decades in the making. Overall, they've been successful in pushing their views and their agenda, spending nearly $100 million on everything from political campaigns and nonprofits to websites espousing their ultra-conservative views. Now, the group is focusing its efforts on essentially threatening and blackmailing more moderate Republicans to adopt their more extremist views and stances, lest all of that conservative PAC money start working against them. It's kind of the same thing that we've been seeing at the federal level. Republican leaders had little to no choice but to get behind Trump once he became the Republican nominee and then the president. If they didn't fall in line, they were attacked by their own Republican colleagues for being rhinos. Only a notable few resisted that line, and one of them, a Cheney no less, lost her seat in Congress because of it. Now, I am not terribly confident that anything will come from this report of the donation to Dan Patrick. The people who would do something about it are the same people who are involved. So as I said at the start of this video, nobody believes me when I say that Texas Republicans are very difficult to get rid of. We really are trying our best out here, but it is hard, okay? All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like and subscribe to the channel and be sure to follow me on all the socials. Thanks.